My name is Shawn Saraga, and I am the founder of the Franchise Academy. We are a franchise matchmaking service. We help match franchisees with franchisors, and we help them find the right fit for them. My mission statement at my company, it's on all of my literature, it's on everything that we do. Create happy, profitable franchisees. That's our ultimate goal. And we do this by making sure that we match you with the right type of franchise for your lifestyle, for your economic situation, and for your long-term goals. We work with over 100 brands across Canada. We work in the United States, we work in Europe, we work in Dubai, we work all over the world. And my business is actually a franchise as well. So we're actually expanding now. We're opening up our Vancouver office in January. We're opening up our Kitchener-Waterloo office in November. And we're continuing to grow this franchise system. So I want to share with you today a little bit of information that I've gathered over the years on how to help choose the right franchise for you. And just to put it into perspective, I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times in just about every single industry segment that you can imagine. I've opened up grocery stores, I've opened up restaurants, I've opened up gyms, I've opened up childcare centers, I've done colleges, I've done everything that you can imagine as far as industry goes for franchise, including cannabis and onward. So what I'm going to share with you today is a little bit of what I've learned over the years, and hopefully you can take some tools out of this that'll help you on your journey. On Monday night and Thursday night at 7 p.m. at Highway 7 and 400 in Vaughan, we're having a much lengthier seminar with a number of industry experts that are speaking. We're actually going to have a franchise lawyer there, we're going to have bankers there, we're going to have people that can help you decide how much money you can make, business plan writers that can help forecast your sales. And what we try to do at these seminars is eliminate all the barriers to entry for you in one night by getting you all the information you need the answer to. So, welcome. What are we talking about today? We're talking about franchises. And when we talk about franchises, this is the response that I usually get. People scratch their heads. Because franchises mean different things to different people, right? A lot of people think of Tim Hortons as the ultimate franchise. McDonald's is the ultimate franchise. Starbucks is not a franchise. Most people don't know that. It's not a franchise. Canadian Tire is a franchise. The hotel you stayed at is probably a franchise. The gas station you use is probably a franchise. Franchising touches just about every industry segment. And what franchising does more than anything is it helps people that are stuck under the glass ceiling in their jobs break through that glass ceiling. How many people here are gainfully employed today? Show hands if you have a job. Okay, and how many people here own their own business? Show hands if you own your own business. Okay, a few of you. Very nice. I want to share with you some fast facts for you about franchising. The franchise industry in Canada is a $100 billion a year industry. It's accounting for 40% of all retail sales. 40 cents of every dollar you spend in a retail environment goes to a franchisee. It'd be nice for you to get a small piece of that pie. There are over 78,000 independent franchises operating across Canada today. We are a franchise nation. And why are we a franchise nation? Because we are conservative as a country when it comes to our money. Not politics, but money. I'm not going to talk about politics, I promise. But when it comes to our money, we're very conservative, and we like to choose the beaten path. We like to follow the beaten path to success. We like to follow the opportunities that have been followed before. The Canadian Franchise Association membership is growing at a rate of 10% per year. And franchising directly employs over 1 million people in Canada today. That's the city of Calgary, just to put it in perspective for you. Every year, thousands of Canadians are improving their lives by becoming franchisees, and the franchising industry accounts for almost 10% of our nation's GDP. It's a big number. And franchising accounts for 1 out of every $5 you spend on goods and services in general. Never mind the 40% at retail. 1 in $5 that you spend, 20% of your money is going to a franchisee of some kind. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about chains. We're talking about chains. And a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Do you all agree with that sentiment? A chain is as strong as its weakest link? So how can you tell if the chain you're going into has weak links or not? I mean, you're at a franchise show today, and you go to talk to somebody in a franchise booth, they tell you everything's fantastic. Right? They tell you the sun's shining, people are making money, everybody's happy. Come on in, the water's great. How can you tell? How can you determine if it's going to be true or not? So this is one word I'm going to share with you today, and if you're going to write anything down, write down this word. Take out your phones, put it in your notes, write down this word. This word is validation. Validation. Validation is when you speak with existing franchisees, people that are doing this today, people that are running their businesses successfully, that are operating their stores, and you ask them, are you happy? Are you making money? Would you do it again? Would you recommend it to a friend? In franchising, past performance is the best indication of future results. Past performance is the best indication of future results. Franchising is such a simple business. Given the same relative set of circumstances, it should be able to repeat the same relative set of success over and over and over again. Past performance is the best indication of future results. Am I making sense? Speaking with the franchisees that are in the system, that are operating today, you can assess what past performance is like. Now, when you meet with franchisees, you're going to hear one of three different responses. The one that I like the most is when you go into a store, you meet with the owner, and they tell you, I make good money, but it's hard work. This isn't an easy business. It takes a lot of effort. I have to follow the rules. I have to be compliant. I have to make things happen. But I make good money at it, and yes, there's an opportunity for you here to grow. That's a really good review. A really bad review would be if you went to see a franchisee, their store was dirty, wasn't very clean, there was bad customer service, the franchisee comes out and says, oh my God, it's terrible. The franchisor doesn't clean my washrooms for me, I'm always on my own, and they're complaining. But I mean, you look around and you see why they're complaining. They're not doing what they need to do to succeed. And then the third one, and this is the most interesting one, you walk in, store's kind of clean, staff are kind of friendly, franchisee's like, oh my God, it's the best business ever. What are you even waiting for? You got to buy one. You're thinking about buying a new one? No, you should buy my store. Bit of conflict of interest in what they're telling you, right? Keep these things in mind when you're doing your due diligence and speaking with franchisees. You need to understand what the past performance is like. That's how you determine if the chain you're looking at is strong. You know, at the Franchise Academy, we help brands and franchisees match together by making sure they're the right fit. And that's what we're going to talk about Monday and Thursday night at our seminars at Highway 7 and 400. I have invitations up front if you'd like one before you leave. Brenna, my marketing manager, will be handing out a sign-up sheet. If you're interested in getting more information about that or other stuff we do, please fill out your information. You want to start handing that out? So what are we talking about today? We're talking about growth. We're talking about growing people's companies. But ultimately, a franchisor is just a vehicle. A franchise is just a vehicle to your success. Let me explain it in a different way. In every group of 100 people, you have 20 people that are overachievers, that love to really try their best and set the world on fire. You have 70 people that are average, that coast along. And then you have 10 people that probably don't belong in the group. This is the law of averages. It doesn't matter if you have 100 students, 100 plumbers, 100 franchisees. You'll find that this is the average. In certain franchises, even though it's a replicable business model, some stores do better than others. There's top performing stores and bottom performing stores. Because the greatest investment opportunity they have when they're buying a franchise is really themselves and their ability to follow that system to the letter. The closer you follow the system, the greater chance you have at success. Quick question for you. What's more important to you, being happy or being right? Think about it for a second. You don't have to answer right away. My ex-wife always said being right made her very happy. But in reality, if you want to be right, being an entrepreneur and owning your own business, not a franchise, is probably a better fit for you. Because you'll make your own rules, you'll always be right. The definition of a successful entrepreneur is one when their check clears the bank. The definition of a successful franchisee, and a franchisee is different from an entrepreneur. A franchisee is an intrapreneur. They're following a system. They're not building a system. It's a very different mindset, a very different mentality. Franchisors, all the franchisors here have these mindsets, have these systems in place. I actually have a franchisor here, Gary from Cup of Tea. Gary, stand up for a sec. Very popular bubble tea concept out of Hong Kong. Sherry, you should speak with him after about becoming a member, okay? Sherry's right behind you. She's the president of the CFA. You two have to talk. But when so Gary actually bought the master for Cup of Tea for Canada. And he's growing it. And there's about 300 locations of those in Hong Kong and China. And now we're growing across Canada with that. And he's looking for people that want to follow the proven path to success, but he's following a proven path of the franchisor from China. So everybody's following each other. Another question for you. Do you want to be successful? Show of hands if you want to be successful. Reach for it like you want to grab it. Do you want to be successful, yes or no? Okay. Now, how many people here can tell me what success means to them? Anybody? Yes. Wealth. And your definition of wealth and my definition of wealth might be very different. In fact, all of you in this room have different definitions of success. You know, when you're 4 years old, success is not peeing in your pants. When you're 12, success is having friends. When you're 16, success is having your driver's license. When you're 20, success is having sex. When you're 30, success is having money. When you're 50, success is having lots of money. When you're 65, well, success is having sex. When you're 70, success is having your driver's license. When you're 80, success is having friends. And when you're 85, success is not peeing in your pants. How many people here in this room have kids? Show of hands if you have kids. Okay. Every definition of success in your life changed the moment your first child was born. Every single one, am I right? Make sure your definition of success matches the franchisor's definition of success. If you've got a young family that you want to spend time with, a restaurant is probably not going to be a fit for you. Yet I see people all the time coming in with young families wanting to buy a restaurant or a bar. You know, I'll share with you the 5 pillars of this industry. Ultimately, we need a franchisee. Nothing happens without you. You are the most important person in the room. You need a franchisor. Nothing happens without them. They have the brands, they have the vision, they have the leadership and the ideas. You need a bank to finance you. And we only have 5 of those in Canada, so your choices are limited. You need a landlord to give you a AAA location, and location matters more than anything. Your location actually determines the value of your business. And you need consumers that love your product. You need consumers that love your product. I'm going to give you a quick exercise. Fold your arms. Fold your arms for me. Fold your arms. Everybody fold their arms. Okay. Excellent. Comfortable? Good. Now fold them the other way. A little uncomfortable, eh? It's a little uncomfortable? That's what change is. Change is a little uncomfortable. Change into an entrepreneur to owning your own business, not as a franchise, is very uncomfortable. Change into owning a franchise system, it's a little uncomfortable. Because it's something new. And we're talking about change. We're talking about changing your life. And what type of a change you want to make to it. You know, if you're an employee, someone is always higher than you or lower than you, right? There's a boss and there's a subordinate. People are defined by their roles. You are defined by your title and what you do. Change is linear. You're either moving up or moving down. And change, as an employee, is to be resisted. Most corporations want you to resist change. Change isn't good for a corporation. Yet in a franchise model, franchisees are equal. You are equal amongst your peers. People are defined by who they are. Change is the result of many things, and change is inevitable. As a franchisee or as a business owner, change is your only constant. I've been self-employed since I was a kid. I tried working for someone for a short period of time in my early 20s. I hated it. I hated the idea that the person I reported to controlled whether or not I got to come to work tomorrow. I have a real issue with authority figures, though. As an entrepreneur, since I've been an entrepreneur in my early 20s, change has been the constant. And I always look toward change. Because if I'm not innovating, I'm dying. And franchisors get that. As a franchise, you need a lease agreement in a lot of cases, or a location of some kind. The quality of your location, the quality of your lease agreement will ultimately determine the value of your business. There's a lot more to that statement than what I'm going to let on with, but at the end of the day, if you have a AAA location in Yorkdale Mall or Square One Shopping Center, your business is worth a lot more than if you're on a plaza in some residential strip plaza. Because you've got a more coveted property, a more coveted location. If you come to our seminar Monday and Thursday night, I'm going to get into a lot more detail into how the lease and the quality of the lease affects the value of your business. And that's an important question to know, because ultimately you buy a business to someday sell it. And if you run your business like it's for sale every day, you'll run your business perfectly. You know, something about leases and locations. In Canada, there's 9 landlords that control 43% of Main Street retail. There's about another 50, 60 landlords that control another 40% of the marketplace, and about another 1,000 that list their properties through CBRE and Cushman Wakefield. And my job at the Franchise Academy, and my other hat that I wear at SRS Canada, which is our real estate brokerage, is to have great relationships with those landlords at all times, because we find the best locations for our candidates. You need to have a healthy balance sheet. Now, this is a circular statement, okay? It's a circular statement. I'll explain what I mean by that. You want to know how much money you can make, yes? How many people here want to know how much money they can make? Show of hands if you want to know how much money you can make. Okay. Yet the franchisor can't tell you how much money you can make. Right? Why can't they tell you that? Because if they do, it's considered a forward-looking earnings projection, and they're liable to those numbers. So franchisor tells you you're going to do $2 million a year in sales, and you do 1.8 million, you can sue them for the difference. So franchisors will never tell you how much money you can make. Franchisees can tell you how much money they are making now. That's part of validation. So going back to validation. Through the validation process, you can find out how much money they're making now. Now, when you call them, please don't ask them, how much money do you make a year? That's a rude and invasive question. What I recommend you say to them is, I'm about to invest $200,000 into this thing, and I need to make $100,000 a year net profit to justify making that investment. Can I achieve that in owning this business? And if you hear from 3 or 4 or 5 of them repeatedly, yes, that's achievable, then you know you're on the right track. So that's how you validate averages. So now you have an idea of how much money you can make, but you don't know exactly how much money you can make, because you still have to meet with the franchisor and go through their approval process. Once you do that, you have a location. It isn't until you have a location that you will find out how much money you can make in that location, because there's so many variables. The cost of construction. If the landlord has space that can be converted, you might save $200,000 in your build-out costs. There's only one person I know who can actually tell you how much money you can make in your business. And that man's name is Matthew Stern. He owns a company called New Ink Consulting. He's a third-party consultant, and for all of my financing for the last 7 years, he's done 100% of my deals and has gotten 100% approval. Matthew, can you stand up for a sec? So that's the man. If you want to know how much money you can make, you talk to him. But the banks want to know that you have availability of finances and that you've got cash in hand. Luckily, we have the Small Business Improvement Loan in Canada, which allows you to borrow up to $350,000 from the bank, of which 75% is government guaranteed. And we're happy to get you more financing if needed. We try to keep you within a really healthy range of financing. I don't want you over leveraged, because otherwise you're not going to grow your money. When you're looking at franchisors here today, I'd ask them about operational support. How much training do they provide? How much ongoing support do they provide? Is it classroom training? Is it on hands-on training? Are there supplier rebates involved? Does the franchisor take supplier rebates? And are you comfortable with that? What are the construction costs like? How much do the construction costs impact your purchase price? If the franchisor is making $100,000 on their build-out cost, that's going to impact your purchase price. Are you able to build it out yourself? Do you have the ability to do that? And demographic models. Are there demographic models in place that will actually show you that there's validity to the market and the ability to earn money here? A franchisor should have a valid demographic model to share with you. When you're speaking to franchisors today, ask them, what are your demographics like? And ultimately, what's your personality type? You know, we matchmake franchisors and franchisees, and it's very much like matching people for marriage. We have to make sure the personalities match. Is your personality type a match for the franchisor you're considering? By speaking with the franchisees, you get a better indication of that. By speaking with the franchisor and having meetings with them and reviewing their documentation, you get a better idea if the culture is a fit for you. Because cultural fit is very important. Do they allow do they want only owner-operators, or do they allow investor-operators? Because if you want to expand and you want to own more than one location, at some point you will need to become an investor-operator and be able to put management in place to run your business. Does the franchise have a strong barrier to entry? Is there a value proposition? You know, I'll give you a couple of examples. We work with a concept out of the US. Anybody here ever watch this TV show, Sex and the City? Anybody here ever hear of that show? Sex and the City? You know the show? Okay. So there's a very famous bakery in the show called Magnolia Bakery. And we're working to bring them to Canada now. They have a very strong value proposition. They have a very strong competitive offering. Their products are not accessible anywhere else. They can't be bought somewhere else. They own their market. They control that market. And they work very hard to build it. As a result, we have high demand from landlords for this concept. If you're interested in learning more about it, speak with me afterwards. It's probably one of the best numbers I've seen this year on a franchisor entering Canada. I'll give one more example of barrier to entry and value proposition. You know, a friend of mine, Ryan Smolkin, started this brand Smokes Poutineery years ago. You've all heard of Smokes Poutineery by now. He's done a phenomenal job in branding it. Yet poutine is something that any restaurant in Canada could have made. But what Ryan did that was different than what every restaurant did was he was so audacious, so out there, so in your face with his marketing that he owned that brand. He owned poutine, and none of his competitors have stood up to him. I would say that we see lots of food trends come along with people that try to enter in with really unique, fancy foods, but they don't take the same ownership of the market that Smokes Poutineery did. And we just helped Smokes Poutineery expand into Dubai. So we're seeing a lot of growth there as well. You know, Henry Ford said, if I'd asked my customers what they wanted, I would have built faster horses. Right? Because at the time, if you'd asked your customers what they wanted, that's what they would have wanted. But the truth is, franchisors and entrepreneurs have to be visionaries, have to be innovators, have to keep coming up with new ideas. They have to provide leadership. After all, if you want to be a franchisee, you've got to be prepared to follow the leader. And the leader is the franchisor. They're not your boss. You're not an employee. You're an independent business owner granted the right to run that business under an agreement that is clearly stipulated, for which you need to run to their brand standards. But you've got to believe in that leadership. because good leadership leads to happy customers. Happy customers lead to happy franchisees. Happy franchisees, we'll talk more about that at our seminar on Thursday nights and Monday nights. So Monday night, I said we're having a seminar at Highway 7 and 400 in Vaughan at the Marriott Hotel, the Courtyard Marriott, and then Thursday night at 7 p.m. also. It's a much more extensive seminar, and we also have a number of franchisors that are attending that have immediate opportunities for sale. None of the brands that you see here today will be there. Actually, sorry, 2 of the brands that you see here today will be there. And then the rest are actually from more premium brands like Burger King, Wendy's, the brands that we work with. So Monday and Thursday. I always like to end on a quote. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift, and that's why we call it the present. You all came here looking for that active daring do, that dare to be great situation. Now go do something with it. Thank you very much for your time.